The year 1925 marked the beginning of a new era for the Bamangwato people of Bechuanaland, a time of significant transformation and challenge. As a young Chekedi Khama ascended to the regency following the death of his father, Sekgoma II, the weight of leadership fell heavily on his shoulders. Chekedi, only 21 at the time, faced significant challenges in leading his people. His youth and inexperience were seen as potential weaknesses by some, but he quickly proved his mettle. Drought and economic hardship plagued the region, creating a dire situation that required immediate and effective action. Furthermore, the spectre of South African incorporation loomed large, as the apartheid regime sought to expand its control over neighboring territories. This external threat added to the internal pressures Chekedi faced. Chekedi Khama proved to be a shrewd and capable leader. His strategic thinking and diplomatic skills were instrumental in navigating these turbulent times. He prioritized education and economic development, recognizing their importance for the future of the Bamangwato. Chekedi believed that an educated populace was essential for progress and stability. He established a tribal treasury and invested in cattle ranching, a vital source of livelihood for his people. This initiative not only boosted the local economy but also provided a sense of security and sustainability. Chekedi also understood the importance of unity in the face of external threats. He worked tirelessly to foster a sense of community and solidarity among the Bamangwato. He worked to bridge internal divisions and strengthen relationships with other tribal leaders. His efforts in diplomacy were crucial in maintaining peace and cooperation. Chekedi's efforts to modernize the Bamangwato legal system and improve access to justice were particularly noteworthy. He recognized that a fair and transparent legal system was the backbone of a just society. He reformed the tribal courts and introduced a system of written law, replacing the traditional reliance on oral traditions. This move was aimed at reducing ambiguities and ensuring consistency in legal proceedings. These reforms, while controversial at times, aimed to create a more just and equitable society. Chekedi's vision was to blend the best of traditional practices with modern legal principles. Throughout his regency, Chekedi Khama fiercely defended the interests of the Bamangwato people. His leadership was characterized by a deep commitment to their welfare and progress. He challenged the British colonial authorities on numerous occasions, advocating for greater autonomy and self-governance. His confrontations with the colonial powers were bold and assertive, reflecting his unwavering dedication to his people's sovereignty. His unwavering commitment to his people's well-being earned him respect both at home and abroad. Internationally, Chekedi was recognized as a formidable leader who stood firm in the face of adversity. Chekedi's legacy as a visionary leader laid the groundwork for Botswana's future independence and prosperity. His forward-thinking policies and dedication to his people's advancement set the stage for a brighter future. He is remembered as a staunch advocate for his people, a modernizer who embraced progress while preserving tradition, and a key figure in shaping the destiny of Botswana. Chekedi Khama's regency remains a pivotal chapter in the history of Botswana, illustrating the power of visionary leadership in the face of overwhelming challenges. The middle of the 20th century witnessed a rising tide of nationalism sweeping across Africa, a continent long subjected to the yoke of colonial rule. This period was characterized by a fervent desire for self-governance and the reclamation of cultural identity. Bechuanaland, a British protectorate in southern Africa, was no exception to this wave of change. The people of Bechuanaland, like many others across the continent, were growing increasingly discontented with the colonial administration that had governed their land for decades. The demand for self-determination gained momentum, fueled by growing frustration with colonial rule and inspired by the successes of independence movements elsewhere. The winds of change were blowing, and the people of Bechuanaland were ready to chart their own course. A pivotal moment in Bechuanaland's journey to independence was the return of Seretse Khama, Chekedi's nephew and rightful heir to the throne, from exile in 1956. His return injected new energy into the independence movement, revitalizing the hopes and aspirations of the people. Seretse, a charismatic and educated leader, had been forced into exile in 1949 due to his controversial marriage to a white British woman, Ruth Williams. Their union was seen as a direct challenge to the racial segregation policies of the time. Their marriage had sparked outrage among the white minority government in South Africa, which exerted considerable pressure on the British to act. The apartheid regime in South Africa was particularly incensed, fearing that such a union could inspire similar defiance within its own borders. Seretse's return galvanized the population, and he quickly emerged as a prominent voice for independence. His eloquence and vision for a free Bechuanaland resonated deeply with the people, who rallied behind him with renewed vigor. In 1961, Seretse Khama founded the Bechuanaland Democratic Party, which would go on to dominate Botswana's political landscape for decades. The party's formation marked a significant step towards organized political activism and the pursuit of independence. The BDP advocated for a multiracial, democratic society and campaigned tirelessly for independence. Its message of unity and self-determination struck a chord with the populace, who were eager to break free from colonial rule and build a nation based on equality and justice. The party's message resonated with a population eager for self-rule, and it won a resounding victory in the 1965 general election. This electoral success was a clear mandate from the people, signaling their overwhelming support for the BDP's vision of an independent Bechuanaland. This electoral triumph paved the way for the country's independence. The celebrations that followed were a testament to the collective joy and relief of the people who had long yearned for freedom. After years of peaceful negotiations with the British, Bechuanaland achieved its long-awaited independence on September 30, 1966. The negotiations were marked by a spirit of cooperation and mutual respect, setting a positive tone for the future relations between the two nations. The country was renamed Botswana, with Seretse Khama as its first president. His leadership was seen as a beacon of hope, guiding the new nation towards a future of prosperity and stability. This historic moment marked the culmination of years of struggle and the beginning of a new chapter in Botswana's history. The raising of the national flag symbolized the dawn of a new era, one filled with promise and the potential for a brighter future for all its citizens. The birth of the Republic of Botswana in 1966 was a momentous occasion, marking the dawn of a new era for a nation emerging from the shadow of colonialism. This historic event was celebrated with great enthusiasm and hope, as the people of Botswana looked forward to a future of self-governance and prosperity. The journey to independence had been long and arduous, but the resilience and determination of the Botswana people had finally paid off. At the helm stood Seretse Khama, a unifying figure who embodied the aspirations of a nation yearning for freedom, progress, and self-determination. Khama, with his charismatic leadership and deep commitment to his people, became a symbol of hope and a guiding light for the newly independent nation. His vision was not just about breaking free from colonial rule, but about building a nation that could stand tall on the global stage. Khama's vision for Botswana extended far beyond mere political independence. He envisioned a nation built on the principles of democracy, unity, and development, a stark contrast to the apartheid regime that held sway just across the border. He believed in the power of collective effort and the importance of every citizen's contribution to the nation's progress. His leadership style was inclusive, ensuring that all voices were heard and respected. The early years of independence were marked by a spirit of unity and a shared sense of purpose. The people of Botswana, despite the challenges they faced, were determined to build a better future for themselves and their children. This collective spirit was evident in the way communities came together to support one another and work towards common goals. Botswana's new leaders, acutely aware of the challenges facing their fledgling nation, embarked on an ambitious program of nation building. They understood that the road ahead would be difficult, but they were committed to laying a strong foundation for future generations. This involved not only political and economic reforms, but also social and cultural initiatives aimed at fostering a sense of national identity and pride. The government prioritized education, healthcare, and infrastructure development, recognizing that investing in human capital was crucial for long-term growth and prosperity. Schools and clinics were established across the country, ensuring that even the most remote communities had access to essential services. This focus on human development laid the groundwork for a more equitable and prosperous society. Botswana's constitution, adopted upon independence, enshrined the principles of democracy, the rule of law, and the protection of fundamental human rights. This legal framework provided a solid foundation for governance and ensured that the rights of all citizens were protected. The constitution was a testament to the nation's commitment to justice and equality. These principles formed the bedrock of Botswana's political system, ensuring stability and peaceful transitions of power in the decades to come. The country's adherence to democratic values and practices set it apart in a region often plagued by political turmoil and authoritarian rule. Botswana's political stability became a model for other African nations striving for democracy. The country's commitment to democratic values set it apart from many of its neighbors who succumbed to authoritarianism and political instability in the post-colonial era. Botswana's leaders understood that true independence meant more than just political freedom. It required a steadfast commitment to democratic principles and the rule of law. The transition to independence was not without its challenges. The new nation faced significant economic and social hurdles, including poverty, limited infrastructure, and a lack of skilled labor. However, the resilience and determination of the Botswana people, coupled with visionary leadership, enabled the country to navigate these challenges and lay the groundwork for future success. Botswana was one of the poorest countries in the world at the time, heavily reliant on cattle ranching and subsistence agriculture. The economy was fragile, and the government faced the daunting task of diversifying the economic base to ensure sustainable growth. This required innovative policies and strategic investments in key sectors. The discovery of vast diamond reserves in the late 1960s would prove to be a turning point in the nation's fortunes, providing the resources needed to fuel economic growth and social development. The diamond industry became a cornerstone of Botswana's economy, generating revenue that was reinvested in critical areas such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure. This strategic use of natural resources helped transform Botswana into one of Africa's most stable and prosperous nations.